Hi everybody, this is Gerald. I went to the laboratory for MEDIHERB in Brisbane, Australia, and it was amazing. They actually put the laboratory based in the city in order to attract top scientists. And we met with Nathan. He gave us a tour and really explained all the equipment that's used in there, from the gas chromatography to measure volatile elements within the herbs, and then also mass spectrometry, which is basically used to identify the actual molecules, whether they're in there in the herb or not, to confirm if it's a whole herb, or whether to confirm it's something that's been purified. They also use mass spec to ensure that there's no adulteration. I'll give you an example. For Golden Seal, they would receive Golden Seal samples from companies, and what would happen is they would go and look for berberine. That's one indicator to know if the Golden Seal actually has some nutrition whatsoever. So Golden Seal is a rich source of berberine, but so is philodendron, so is coptis and Oregon grape. And what they found, because they understood that it's not only berberine in the Golden Seal, but there's other phytonutrients, they would then check their incoming Golden Seal sources and find that it wouldn't have these other phytochemical nutrients, because they were spiked with coptis, or they'd be spiked with philodendron, which is interesting. And now, of course, MEDIHERB does have philodendron available. It's in the formula gut flora complex. So you within the line, you have already Golden Seal, you have the gut flora complex, which are great sources of berberine. But it's just to show that MEDIHERB uses modern day technology such as mass spectrometry to identify, is there any spiking going on. In 1976, they actually blew the lid on bilberry being adulterated with a banned dye called amaranth. And so they actually ran tests, and they were the ones to call BS on the industry to identify, hey, look, people are adulterating these herbs. And the bottom line is they are the leader in the industry on identifying who's getting ripped off and which vendors are not producing an honest herb, and not even that, who is producing an honest herb with sufficient phytonutrients in order for people to have the healing benefits that most practitioners are desiring to achieve. So it's really amazing. They've realized, for those who have been using the MEDIHERB line, they took out Pau d'Arco because of a sourcing issue. And what they found is that when they sample other companies' Pau d'Arco supplements, they find that it's the wrong species that's being put in. It's a non-therapeutic species, and they do this by their methods of HPTLC and mass spectrometry to confirm whether that supplement actually has the phytonutrients that are just known to always be in a pure and high quality herb. And everything on the market pretty much doesn't have it. That's one of the reasons why MEDIHERB has had difficulty also sourcing, is because they have such a high level, high standard to ensure that if they are going to source or provide our clients, you and I, a high quality herb, that they're going to make sure it has what it should have. It's also the reason why cat's claw is right now not available through MEDIHERB, because they haven't found that cat's claw. Now, what's interesting is that they've again purchase supplements and samples from all other companies that actually sell cat's claw, and they found that it's lacking. So unfortunately, these guys, MEDIHERB is the standard, and unfortunately, if you have a patient who's buying a Pau d'Arco or a cat's claw, it's unfortunate that they're wasting their money, and they're most likely not receiving the optimal therapeutic benefit, if any at all. So it's really interesting. They also use their tools to identify, are people putting in what they say they're putting in the supplement or in the herbal formulation. And for example, some samples will say, hey, this is Withania root, or also known as ashwagandha root, and they've found that some companies are putting the leaf, because they can look at the breakdown of the withaniolides and the other phytonutrients within the supplement and identify, oh, they put the leaf here, or they put the root, and so they could be the guy who's going to go ahead and call out these other companies, but they don't. It's only in the training. And what they've also done, because in Australia Metagenics is a huge competitor to them, they go and take some of the herbal formulations that Metagenics is selling in Australia, and what they found is that a lot of their formulas are actually isolates of the active component of the herb. So it's really unfortunate because that increases the risk for withdrawal syndrome or potential for adverse reactions. When a client or a patient is actually taking something that's just an isolated extract based on research. And MEDIHERB doesn't believe in that philosophy, just like standard process. It's all about taking the whole herb, the whole root, the whole leaf, depending on what part is the therapeutic or contains the phytonutrients that we're looking for. And the same thing with standard process is the whole food, with the whole root, the whole stem, etc., the whole seed. So it's really interesting and pretty amazing and impressive that what MEDIHERB has here. Yesterday I went to the factory, the plant tour, spotless, amazing, Six Sigma, lean production, how efficient they are. They really don't have any problems with back ordering now, and they can keep up with whatever growth demand is created among the practitioners just because of how efficient they are. It's amazing how they define themselves based on the herbs that they reject, not necessarily the herbs that they accept, and they have a strict policy of making sure that they source the highest quality. I spoke with Peter, who's in charge of going across the world, and he travels the world to source herbs based on where the herb naturally grows endemically. So for example, Bulgaria is home of the tribulus, in that Western Europe area is where they can only source tribulus in order to see the therapeutic benefits that you want to see in your patients. They source Mexican valerian from Mexico. There's the Valerian officinalis, which is in the valerian complex. They source from Europe. That's where it grows best. Echinacea is best grown in Northern California, near Canada and the Dakotas. So that's where they source the echinacea, just as where the Native Americans actually source it. Fringe tree is a Native American herb, so they only source that in North America. So a lot of the Indian herbs are sourced from India. And what's great is Peter goes and travels the world and looks and he builds these relationships with these farmers who are growing these herbs sufficiently and honestly, and and they have a good 5-year layout. The MEDIHERB actually has arrangements with these farmers to consistently purchase from them for the next 5 years, because sometimes it takes 3 years. For example, echinacea, it takes 3 years before the taproot is long enough where there's enough alkalamides in order for the end tablet product to be therapeutic. And it's really important that they have these long-term relationships. So it's really amazing what they have. They've got someone going out there, meeting the farmers, working with farmers, and then within house, when the herbs come in, they have a way to ensure that it's a high quality herb, still not adulterated, not purified, not doesn't have any heavy metals, toxic additives that ultimately end up in the product, right? That could be dangerous. So it's pretty impressive what they've got. At the end of the day, there's more information. If I had an hour, I'm pretty sure you could be as convinced as I am that MEDIHERB is the best herbal company on the planet. Hands down, no other competitor comes close. They did talk about other companies, and a lot of these other companies are you kind of think of as little brothers who are looking up to see what MEDIHERB is doing and trying to recreate what they're doing. But because MEDIHERB is the leader, it's why would you want to use someone else for what, for I guess a slightly inferior quality. But we all our decisions. At the end of the day, I'm going to bring you more information in the upcoming webinars and seminars and study groups, newsletters as to, again, why MEDIHERB is the best herbal company on the planet.